Anime will always be a very interesting paradox to me. When I was in school as a student, anime was that one interest or passion that you had to keep secret. You'd be made fun of by your peers if they found out you were secretly a fan of Naruto or One Piece or Dragon Ball. It was the uncool thing to like. If you were an anime fan, you kept it to yourself. Now, I wasn't a hardcore weeb by any means. I found anime interesting, but I never worshipped it or wore its merch on my body, though I knew some who did. Even still, I chose not to advertise my interest. However, once I went back to school as a teacher, this time, the paradigm had shifted. Now, liking anime was not only cool, it was expected. Seeing Naruto or Dragon Ball shirts around school was the norm, and students would ask each other often if they'd seen the new episode of some popular shonen. I was blown away, to be honest, and to this day, I struggle to keep up with the new anime trends and interests. So I'm not all that familiar with new ones like Jujutsu Kaisen or Dr. Stone or any of those. However, one that I did find a great amount of interest in was Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is a shonen anime that takes place in Japan's Taisho period, the time period just after the Meiji Restoration. A young man named Tanjiro Kamado, blessed with an unnatural sense of smell and a kind and compassionate heart, returns to his home in the mountains to find his mother and siblings all slaughtered, with only his sister Nezuko having survived.
Nezuko's the only one who's still warm. If I can get her to a doctor, she might live. How could something like this happen?
However, Nezuko has gone through a startling transformation from the sweet and loving sister into a savage, bloodthirsty beast who can't even speak rationally, attempting to kill and eat Tanjiro.
She's a demon.
A mysterious swordsman appears and explains that Tanjiro's family was killed by a demon, and Nezuko has become a demon herself, having ingested some of the demon's blood accidentally. There is no hope for her, and she will surely eat more people if not killed.
It's really quite simple. She's turned because her wounds were exposed to demon blood. That's how the man-eating monsters multiply. She can't be healed. Once you become a demon, no one can ever turn back.
Tanjiro, unwilling to allow his sister to die, fights desperately to save her, and to the swordsman's surprise, Nezuko, despite her savage nature, defends Tanjiro too.
Nezuko. Nezuko didn't do it. She'd never eat a human.
Seeing hope for these two, he sends them to a masked man named Urokudaki, a powerful swordsman and veteran demon slayer. Under his guidance, Tanjiro learns how to kill demons using a special katana sword in a form of combat called water breathing, which allows him to flow like water but strike with decisive precision. His goal is simple: find the demon who turned Nezuko, kill him, and discover a cure for Nezuko, while also ensuring that she will never kill and eat anyone. A tall order, to be sure. I've been following the anime with mild interest. The characters are colorful, if a little ridiculous at times. The comedy is quite on point. The villain menacing enough, if a little underwhelming to some degree. I feel like he could use a bit more presence, but that's personal. And the animation is god tier. Now, I haven't finished it. I haven't finished the anime yet, but I intend to. I think it's well worth the watch. So, given that the anime isn't even done yet, I mean, I've heard the manga's done, but I need to finish reading it. I wonder why CBR thinks that there are 10 things about it that age poorly. If it's not even done, how can it possibly age poorly at all? Well, let's explore, shall we? The top 10 reasons that Demon Slayer aged poorly. Let's do it. 10 things in Demon Slayer that aged poorly. Demon Slayer is a relatively recent addition to the anime catalog, but there are some glaring problems that do not hold up well when scrutinized. By Liam Spencer, published February 25th, 2022. There's no denying that Demon Slayer has quickly risen to elite status within the anime community and has gone on to become one of the most popular shonen series of all time. It's hardly surprising that Koyoharu Gotoke's Demon Slayer has also gained global recognition for being one of the most action-packed and soul-stirring series. That said, while Demon Slayer is undoubtedly deserving of its positive reputation and acclaim for its mind-blowing animation, stimulating and evocative storytelling, and a great variety of diverse characters, it's not without its flaws. Number 10. Uzui's wives deserve better presentation. Not only is Tengen Uzui an incredibly formidable demon slayer, he is also a member of the Hashira. As a result, Uzui is presented in a way that befits his status. His 3 wives, on the other hand, despite their relationship with the Hashira member, do not receive that same level of respect. Significant roles for women have become exceedingly prevalent over the years, giving female actors greater scope to deliver memorable performances in a variety of diverse roles. While it is true that Demon Slayer is both an anime and set in a very different timeline, given the relationship Uzui's wives have with the Hashira, it's reasonable to want more from the characters and their exaggerated and uninspired personalities. It's cute how you literally shot your own argument in the foot while making it. I mean, do I even need to say it? You just said it yourself. Demon Slayer is an anime, meaning it's a story bound by the narrative it's wanting to tell. It does not have time to flesh out every character that's brought up. Sometimes an over-the-top personality or quirk is all that's required to get an idea about them, since you don't have much time to focus on them. And secondly, it's a different time period than today. The wives are subservient to their husbands. The wives will often play the background or supporting role. But I thought Uzui's wives were fine. They were expressive enough. They had their charms. They were entertaining. I'm surprised you're not complaining that he had multiple wives. Number 9. Genya's despicable final selection behavior. At the end of the final selection, the survivors return to the entrance where they are greeted by the Ubuyoshiki twins. The successful participants are each assigned a Kasugai crow to help with communication. Shortly after, one of the survivors, Genya Shinozigawas, demands a sword before physically assaulting one of the twins until he is halted by Tanjiro. It's a shocking display of impertinence on Genya's part, and considering the fact that he, along with the other survivors, comprise the newest members of the Demon Slayer Corps, it's a wonder that there's never any further repercussions for his uncouth behavior, especially when taking into account just how reputable the Demon Slayer Corps is. You are complaining that an asshole character is behaving like an asshole. You're joking, right? You've got to be joking. You're actually joking. He's not the only asshole we see in the Demon Slayer Corps, and his personality is not a factor in terms of how he does his job. Considering that only 4 people completed the Demon Slayer trial out of the dozens who started, it makes sense that they can't afford to be picky. They care more about your effectiveness than they do about your general attitude. Can you kill demons? Yes. Are you an asshole? Yes. Well, at least you kill demons. Hop to it. Number 8. Hotaru trying to kill Tanjiro is far from amusing. Not long after the events of Mount Natagagumo, Tanjiro and company are taken to the Butterfly Mansion to recuperate and heal from the injuries they sustained during the conflict with the spider demons. After receiving the word that Tanjiro's Nichiren sword was destroyed in the battle, Master Swordsmith Hotaru arrives with a reforged sword for the young demon slayer. On his arrival, Hotaru pulls out a knife and recklessly runs toward Tanjiro, intending to stab him. Tanjiro evades the attack, only for Hotaru to continue trying to strike him with the knife as Inosuke and Shinobu look on. Though intended to be amusing, this scene is profoundly disturbing and says a lot about the inopportune and unseemly inclusion of comedy at the expense of more serious moments. How is that not funny? Liam, can I call you Liam? I'm seriously concerned about you. Do you need some help? Are you familiar with how comedy works? No, better yet, are you familiar with how anime comedy works? This is not only par for the course in terms of comedy, but it's expected in anime comedy. Over-the-top violence like this is expected. Not only that, but of course they would put it here. We just came off the tail end of a long and harrowing battle. The group is devastated, recovering, and here comes some levity of an over-the-top and homicidal moron trying to attack Tanjiro for something he couldn't control. This is in character, as he's attacked Tanjiro before for similar reasons, but also because we know he's not going to get hurt. I mean, just look at the mask he wears. This is intended to be a funny scene. If you found this disturbing, I suggest you go back to watching Teletubbies or something. You're not ready for children's comedy. Number 7. Often misplaced and ill-timed comedy. Demon Slayer is often fantastically funny and features plenty of laughs and jokes throughout the series. However, that doesn't mean the jokes always land. There are a number of occasions during the series when the comedy is simply ill-timed or horribly misplaced. A prime example of this is when Uzui asks Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu to dress up as young women and enter one of the 3 known brothel houses in the entertainment district. Taking into account the nature of these establishments and the fact that the 3 boys are only teenagers, it is entirely inappropriate for them to be thrust into such a precarious predicament by a demon slayer held in such high esteem. Like I said, I don't think you're ready for anime-level comedy. Alright, let's talk about this. So, Uzui intends to find out what happened to his female agents in the entertainment district by having Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke disguise themselves as women and go in undercover to get information. Your first complaint is that this is inappropriate for them to do because they are teenagers, and that's inappropriate for kids of that age to be engaged in stuff like this. Well, firstly, teenage prostitutes were a thing back in the day, so this isn't entirely shocking for the era. Secondly, under Japanese Penal Code Article 177, the official age of consent in Japan is 13 years. Now, each individual prefecture has its own consent laws that usually bump it up to somewhere around 16 or 18, but bear that in mind. That's the modern law. Back during the Meiji and Taisho period, prostitution was a booming industry. Thanks to modern forms of transportation being introduced in Japan, the supply and demand of prostitutes increased dramatically. Females were being born much more frequently as the population boomed in Japan, and females needed jobs, and they could find employment in brothels in red light districts like Yoshiwara to make money. In fact, the government passed legislation to supposedly regulate brothels and prostitutions, but in truth, it only made brothels taxable, meaning that the government could profit from the use of brothels now. Even after World War II ended, specific brothels were put in place for Allied soldiers, specifically because they knew it would sell to foreign soldiers in need of pleasure. A different time period and different culture, people. But more importantly than any of that, history lecture and all aside, having young men disguise themselves as females to accomplish a goal is not anything new in the world of comedy. I mean, just look at Bugs Bunny. But even in anime, Ranma 1/2 uses it on the regular.
Where are we gonna find someone who's good at martial arts, knows gymnastics, and looks good in a leotard? And on such short notice, too. Huh? Oh.
Huh? What are you looking at me for? Hey, cut that out. That's not funny. You ain't getting me into no stupid leotard. No way!
Ryoga!
Looks like it's gonna be an all-nighter. Huh, Ranma?
Naruto is famous for it.
A lady? Oh, if that's what you wanted, why didn't you just say so? No problem.
And there's a whole anime about a PE teacher who goes undercover as a woman to teach at a school and expose the principal for her sexist hiring practices. Although I should note, I don't recommend this anime, that's why I haven't said the name. It has a funny concept, but a very terrible, uncomfortable execution that I'd rather not go into. Ugh, I couldn't even finish it. It was that bad. In a layman's terms, you don't get anime comedy. Go back to Barney the Dinosaur. Number 6, overly excessive exposition. One of the common downsides that plague many anime series is excessive exposition. It's an age-old truth that the most commendable approach to including expositionary details is to show and not tell. Unfortunately, Demon Slayer is often guilty of over-explaining things through character dialogue. Nonetheless, Demon Slayer still handles exposition better than a lot of similar shonen anime, but not enough to mask the problem. This is particularly apparent during conflicts where characters often precisely explain the details behind some damage that they sustained or express surprise at an opponent's tactical evasion of a planned attack. While this doesn't dramatically impact the scene, it does grow tedious rather quickly. Welcome to Shonen Anime! This is nothing new, sir! Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, Death Note, all of them involve talking. A lot! It saves on animation and sketches, draws out the fight, and provides the audience with information they might not have caught due to the limits of what can be seen in the panel or animation. Oh! Number 5, unduly sympathetic antagonists. One of the most interesting features of Demon Slayer is its savvy handling of the series' antagonists. The demons often have far more to offer than the archetypal villain, which subsequently makes their backstory significantly more compelling. This, however, does have its drawbacks. Chiefly in the case of Demon Slayer, the issue lies in the lack of a more balanced approach. Although it is certainly refreshing to see a more layered antagonist, at times, Gotoge runs the risk of undercutting the severity of the demon's evil actions by immediately revealing why their transformation solicits sympathy. It would serve the series well to also incorporate backstories that reinforce just how evil the demons can be. Well, God forbid we humanize our enemies. I'd like to quote Tanjiro's demon-slaying ideology, quote, "In order to soothe the spirits of those it killed, and to make sure it claims no further victims, I will swing my blade down and lop off the head of any demon without mercy. But I will not belittle those who regret their actions and suffer over the things they did as demons, because demons were once humans, because they were like me." End quote. Because Tanjiro knows his sister is a demon, and there's a chance she could turn back, he knows many demons might not have been different from him, or her. They were once human. They once felt pain. They may not have wanted to become demons, or they were scared. Tanjiro will slay the demons, but he will also respect the person they used to be. Destroy the foe, but love the man. In fact, oddly enough, a certain Bible verse comes to mind. Ephesians 6:12, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, and against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." I'm not saying that Tanjiro is a Christian, but it is a very Christian outlook. Fight evil, but love your fellow man. That's what I really like about Tanjiro. Unlike anyone else in the Demon Slayer Corps, he still sees the humanity in his enemies. He just doesn't let that stop him from doing what's necessary. Number 4. Inosuke's vexing penchant for making things worse. Inosuke is undoubtedly the most eccentric and unpredictable character in Demon Slayer. His erratic behavior, coupled with his largely nonsensical dialogue, makes him interesting and oftentimes amusing. However, it's for the same reason that Inosuke can be decidedly irritating. Throughout the series, there are many instances where Inosuke makes an already dire situation even worse. Naturally, given Inosuke's personality, it makes sense that he would cause havoc for himself and his fellow Demon Slayers. The problem is, however, that it happens to such an extent that it serves as a serious detriment to the character's overall likability. Allow me to introduce you, just take a moment to introduce, Katsuki Bakugo from My Hero Academia, a punk of a kid who serves as rival and bully to the protagonist Izuku Midoriya. Katsuki is a naturally gifted kid born with power who believes that being a hero is about having power, and those with power are the ones destined to rise to the top. He hates Midoriya because despite not having power, Midoriya challenges his worldview by not lying down and submitting to those with it. He constantly tries to walk the path of a hero despite being a weakling. The more successful Midoriya becomes in his pursuits, the more angry it makes Bakugo, because it challenges everything he's ever believed. He's loud, brash, bombastic, insulting, arrogant, and rude. His power itself is designed to destroy everything in his path, and his disregard for rules, limitations, and authority make him unpredictable and hard to control, and more than once he has made matters worse for people. He's one of the most beloved characters in the show.
Why did I end up having to chase after someone who was always so far behind me? Why did a damn small fry like you get strong and become the #1 hero's sidekick?
Shocking. You see, being a troublemaker and being wild and bombastic isn't detrimental to likability. In fact, it can be a breath of fresh air to have a wild and uncontrollable element mixed in with a crowd of rational rule followers. The wild card to shake up the game, the arrogant one to challenge the righteous, the powerhouse to oppose the tenacious loser. Inosuke doesn't ruin everything he touches, but his wild nature and habit of getting caught up in the moment and causing trouble matches his personality and keeps him consistent. It's why he's liked. Why do I understand this better than you?
I'm sorry for being so weak.
Don't be sad, Inosuke. You did great. I'm just so happy that you're all right.
Number 3. Shinozigawas physically assaulting a helpless Nezuko. The Hashira have sworn an oath to destroy all demons, so it isn't surprising that they are immediately taken aback by Tanjiro's relationship with Nezuko. At first, it makes sense that the Hashira are determined to destroy her. She is a demon, after all. Nevertheless, it rapidly becomes less reasonable when the Hashira are given reason to trust that Nezuko is not a threat. It is difficult to watch Shinozigawa torture Nezuko to prove that she is nothing more than a bloodthirsty demon, especially when both fellow Hashira Gyu and Master Ubukashiki are willing to acknowledge Nezuko. Despite this, Shinozigawa stabs Nezuko gratuitously until it is eventually proven that she will not attack humans. The entire scene is incredibly uncomfortable to watch and makes it immediately difficult for fans to develop a liking for Shinozigawa. I'm starting to see your problem. When characters act in a way that you find mean, uncomfortable, or unusual, it bothers you. Well, Shinozigawa is meant to come off as an unlikable person. We're not supposed to like what he does to Nezuko. That's the point. It fits with his character at this point in time. He hates demons, hates them to the point that even when there is evidence that Nezuko is harmless, he still won't accept it. That's what true hate is. Even when confronted with evidence to the contrary, you will still hold on to that hate. He tries to offer counterproof by stabbing her to incite her anger and even cutting his own arm to tempt her bloodlust. He wants to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that his philosophy on demons is right and that Nezuko will kill someone at some point. It fits his character. It shows us who he is and what he believes. And it also makes us happy when Nezuko resists on her own free will. It is satisfying to see that his cruelty and his behavior did not serve him well, but only reinforced Tanjiro. Yes, it is uncomfortable, but it's what we needed to see to solidify the scene and its characters. It also pays off because we see a much more sadistic side to the Demon Slayer Corps. Up until now, the Demon Slayer Corps have all been shown as righteous do-gooders who only want to kill demons. We have yet to see much personality differentiation. It's kind of nice to see that even though Tanjiro and Gyu might believe in the hope for Nezuko, there might be some who refuse to see that hope and take sadistic glee in killing demons. It begs the question, why would they take sadistic glee in killing demons? What would drive a person to the point that he takes pleasure in making demons bleed? What would drive a person to the point that he enjoys killing demons that much? Just a question. Number 2, Nezuko's overly sexualized awakened state. With a story that is greatly affecting, and for the most part brilliantly depicted, it is no wonder Nezuko is one of Demon Slayer's most popular characters. At just 14 years old, Nezuko is the victim of unspeakable horror at the hands of a demon, but it is through the severe hardship that she develops into one of the strongest and most resolute personalities in the entire series. It is for this reason that the depiction of Nezuko's awakened form is so surprising. Though Nezuko temporarily takes on an adult form in this awakened state, it is still completely unnecessary for her adult character model to be so overly sexualized. It is quickly apparent that this depiction, at least as far as Nezuko's outfit is concerned, is nothing more than needless fan service. Nezuko's awakened form? Wait. You mean this? You consider that fan service? That? You poor creature. You naive little snowflake. Thou hast yet to even test the waters of anime fan service. Thou art but a mere frog in a well, never to fully grasp the great ocean of lecherousness that is anime fan service. I have seen but only visions of that realm, and it has left me scarred. Yet to eyes such as yourself it would drive you to madness. Pray you never watch anime again, for were you to even glimpse the shores of that great sea of debauchery, your soul would be forfeit, and your mind corrupted. Firstly, I'm sorry, but how can you call Nezuko's form there's fan service when you compare it to the very demon she's fighting in that scene, Daki? Yeah, who's giving off fan service here? I'm sorry, which one? Secondly, she aged up in her awakened form. It's very well established that Nezuko can age down, so in her awakened form, she ages up. It might surprise you to know this, but women might just fill out when they age. Shocking, I know. Thirdly, I don't think it's her look that got people interested, but more of what she was doing. Kicking demon ass. I mean, I think the only thing you could really take pleasure in from that is when she starts stomping on Daki. But then again, I mean, it was more of a sadistic thing and there was a lot of blood, so I don't know if you could really get excited for that, but okay. I mean, every lid has its jar, I suppose. For me, I didn't mind it. In fact, I thought her look was really cool. It was a very badass look. We'd seen for so long this really cute, adorable little demon girl. Now she's turned into an absolute monster. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Number 1, Zenitsu's objectionable behavior. Zenitsu Agutama is massively popular with Demon Slayer fans due to his colorful personality and splendidly witty dialogue. He is without a doubt one of the most entertaining aspects of the entire series. Despite this, Zenitsu exudes several incontestably disagreeable qualities. At the top of that list is Zenitsu's alarmingly lecherous behavior towards the opposite sex. Notwithstanding his status as a Demon Slayer, Zenitsu is completely without a filter. Even in early 20th century Japan, during which Demon Slayer is set, the inclusion of this detestable behavior does not stand up well to scrutiny. The inclusion of this detestable behavior does not stand up well to scrutiny. Okay, I was joking earlier, but I beg you, from the bottom of my heart, stop watching anime. No, please, just don't do it. Your poor heart just isn't ready for the likes of Master Roshi, Pervy Sage Jiraiya, Kensei Ma, Sanji, or, God forbid, you ever discover Hapasai himself, the worst of them all.
Get off me, you pervert!
Hey, I threw a challenge match to follow you in here. The least you could do is show me a little gratitude. Now, come on, girls.
He's an extraordinary dirty old man.
Support and side characters with lecherous or perverted tendencies are common in anime. They are a comedic injection into the story that are meant to be an easy identifiable character trait to help us understand them in easy and no uncertain terms. We know how they think, what motivates them, and what they enjoy. It's simple. Base and reprehensible to our modern discourse, but simple. Now, we may not like it, but that's supposed to be a negative character trait. And if you honestly think it doesn't stand up to scrutiny, you clearly don't need to watch anime. I mean, really. Okay, we're done. Good night. Oh, man. Okay, so here's the thing. I like Demon Slayer. I think it's got a really great concept. It's been a very enjoyable ride so far. Sure, there are a few things that are hit and miss for me, I admit, but overall, I'd give it a very good score. I enjoy it, and if you haven't watched it yet yourself, I do recommend it. I think it's very enjoyable. But this article, if CBR has proven anything, they have a very hard time understanding first of all, the aspects of writing or the aspects of anime. This person seems to be under the delusion that if a character is written with flaws or irredeemable qualities, then they're obviously going to be unlikable, no one's going to like it, and it's a major flaw with the show. But maybe those irredeemable qualities are aspects of the character that make them who they are. There's this common problem I see when people write stories. They try to write everyone as the ideal. You know, they try to write everyone as this is the way they should act. This is the way they should act because this is how other people would act. This is how I would act. But that's not how you write character. One of the things that I do praise Demon Slayer for and other anime like One Piece and Naruto and others is because you have characters who may act out of the way we would. Like, I personally wouldn't act the way Zenitsu does or Inosuke. I wouldn't act that way. But because we see them act that way, we recognize these are unique characters with their own traits, personalities, goals, and ideals. We follow them and are engaged by their stories. And as for the whole Nezuko thing or the prostitution thing, like, look, none of these are big deals, and I don't see how they make the show age poorly. I think what's hilarious about it is you think the show is aging poorly because of these teen things. It hasn't even had the chance to age. And frankly, some of the things that you mentioned are reasons people like these characters. People like Inosuke because he's so wild and crazy. People like Nezuko because she can shift from cute and adorable little girl to absolute badass demon killer. These are not new concepts. These are things that people like. So I don't understand this. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this response video, and I will see you in my next one. Take care.